What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Blitz Sports Media. My name is Ryan Linklater. I'm here with Louie. We are talking Seahawks football. They won a Super Bowl this year. Well, they only got 4 draft picks, and they lost a lot of free agents this year. So how can they retool and, try to repeat this season?
I think they have the majority of that roster that they kept together. I think the bigger questions are, how much is the offense going to look the same now that Kubiak's gone and things like that. I think that's what I'd be more concerned about as a Seattle fan. If you're going to have only 4 picks in a draft, I think 2026 is the year to do that. I don't love this class. There is some depth there, but I don't think that there's like real, I don't think this is going to be like a real high end stud draft. So maybe it's really tough, right? Everybody wants to trade down all the time, and it sounds perfect, but you need a partner. This would be the perfect team of maybe trying to trade down to get a couple more later rounds if they had a few more darts to throw. But I don't think that they really need a lot here. I think in these 4 picks, we'll probably see an interior lineman, a running back, an edge guy or 2, and I think that's everywhere else. I feel like they're pretty strong.
Yeah, and they're going to have some guys that, were a part of that Super Bowl team that they got to replace. And we're up here at pick 32. We already got edge preset from our last mock draft. And, taking a look at the way the board is falling for us here, we're sitting at pick 32. Do you like some of these options here for Seattle, or is it almost a trade out situation for this squad?
It would feel, again, like I said, really good to get out of this pick. I'm sure for them if they wanted. If they were able to get out of there. So and now 32 is a really good pick for that, obviously, because people get to come into that first round, so they get the option. So that's not the worst spot to try to trade out of if they could maybe get a later round. That would be my first inkling. But who do we got there at the defense end position right there at the
You got
top?
Messidor, you got Caleb Banks, Avion Terrell, Blake Miller, Colton Hood, Lee Hunter, Brandon Sissy, Emmanuel McNeil Warren, some of the top, a lot of defenders available at this point. Pregnon from Oregon is the top interior offensive lineman for them. That could be a target.
I think Messidor is probably the play there. I think that's where they need the most right now outside of the running back position. I could honestly see this pick being Jadarian Price. I know that that's high for people, that he's expected to be a later second round, third round, but This is, end of first round, 32. It's a huge need for him. And I think that there's love up here. I think Price is right here. And then I think it's just get like another huge teardrop from him. So if they feel the same way, I wouldn't be shocked if that was the play, but let's go to the end, because I think that's probably safer and what they would most likely do.
The Seahawks community would have hated us if we drafted a running back in the first round for them.
Most likely. I just wouldn't be shocked. I very much have been like running back don't matter guy, but it seems like the lead's shifting a little bit, and I don't hate spending, especially like when you're on a first contract and it's cheap. I don't mind spending a little draft capital at the running back position anymore.
Yeah, they might be having to do that for sure. So Jadarian Price actually went 42nd to the New Orleans Saints in this mock. So that middle to the beginning of the second, if Seattle decides to trade back, maybe get more draft capital, would be a situation where Price is in play. And we look at the running backs here: Mike Washington from Arkansas, Jonah Coleman from Washington. You got Singleton, Emmett Johnson. Are you reaching on any of those guys here, or do you think this is a perfect time to go grab one of them?
No, I think you do have to fade it. Me personally, I just don't think that. I think this next tier, like I said, is a pretty even tier. Maybe in the next 5 or 6 guys, I do like Singleton the most out of those guys. But will they take somebody coming off of an injury with Sharp already? I don't know if they make that move. I think that if they make this move, they want somebody that can maybe possibly come in and contribute right away. So I don't love that. What do we say? We said edge.
Yeah, I think Connor Liu makes sense for them. I mean, they need a center, right? I mean, he's available here at this point. I think it would make sense that, they go grab another interior guy to help improve that part of their offense.
I think that's a good value on him too. So yeah, that makes sense for sure.
All right, let's lock him in. We only got two more picks. We don't got a lot to play with now, so like we gotta lock in here and see what we can do uh, for them. I'm not seeing a lot of running backs go off. So there goes Mike Washington to Jacksonville. Jonah Coleman, I jinxed us right there. Right, we lost out on those guys, and now we're sitting here at 96. Skylar Bell, the top available receiver. You got Everett from Georgia at the cornerback position, and then Nick Singleton still sitting here at this third round slot. Is it time?
Yeah, I think it's time. Like I said, that might not, make the most sense as we're sitting here talking about it. But at the end of the day, I think he's got the highest ceiling of this tier. And, before the injury, he may have been the second guy off the board,
Yeah.
So I like the profile a lot. That's a good buy there at whatever round 3 are we?
Yeah. And I was at the combine. Singleton went through a little bit more of an extensive medical report before coming out for his availability. I'm not sure how that's going to impact his draft stock heading into this, and it really could help them. I think Singleton was a guy entering this draft process at the beginning of last year, the second running back behind Jeremiah Love, and didn't have a great season, dealt with injuries, and now he's kind of sitting here and he's undervalued. It almost feels like at this point. If he is healthy, I think he can make a contribution day one to an offense just based on his production alone at Penn State.
Absolutely.
All right. So we're sitting here. It's just such a long time between picks. We're bored now. All right. We've already added a center. We've added a defensive end / edge rusher. We've also added a running back. The only need we haven't addressed that we got is cornerback right now. Not looking like a lot of cornerbacks here. And obviously, we're getting towards the end of a draft. We talked about some guys that you really like. Anybody, here you want to take a look at?
I was trying to see. I think where they need. I think they needed guard more so than center, but that can be moved around a little bit there. I'm wondering if they don't need another interior lineman. I think that's what this team needs to build now. Can you see a scenario where they would want to maybe
Double
take
up.
a flyer on the last, like a late end wide receiver? Maybe I think you can.
So I'm thinking wide receivers. They got Bobo coming back. They won that restricted. They got Shaheed coming back. They got JSN and they got Cooper Kupp. So they got four,
Yeah, I don't.
and they got Torrey Horton. So probably not. They
No.
probably are set there. So I think offensive wise, I think you're right. Like it would be an interior offensive lineman, maybe a dart
Yep.
throw there, or a defensive guy. I don't. It's tough. I mean, I think they're good on edge rushers right now. Think
Did we get? We
linebacker.
got an edge. We got the edge early. So
Yeah.
Thaddeus Dixon is a late round corner. I don't know if he's been taken. North Carolina, good height on him. He's got like,
Yeah,
I know that he was a
gone.
5-year guy. He's gone.
So, safety is another one. Bishop
Got
Fitzgerald, what are your thoughts on him? He's still sitting here. There was some turnover in Seattle's safety position. Does that make sense?
Fitzgerald probably makes sense here. Again, I think that's a 2 or 3 round value most of the time that I'm seeing him as a 3rd or 4th round guy in a lot of spots. So yeah, that's a good spot for him. A little undersized, but let's see here. 4
5
picks last
interceptions
year
is
and
5 interceptions.
Oh,
I'll take
5.
it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I think the most like interesting part with Seattle is it almost feels like I'm not writing them off. Don't say I'm writing them off just yet, but like this year feels like a very uphill battle for this team to win another Super Bowl with the changes on the offense. They lost some key pieces in their secondary. I think the defense will maintain strong production this year because Mike McDonald is that good of a coach, but like they have their work cut out for them on the offensive side of the ball. And who's to say that Sam Darnold does not revert back to bad play without, two straight offensive gurus helping him out? I think JSN is going to be JSN, but Kenneth Walker is a big loss that, this team's going to miss. He was a difference maker in their playoff run and probably the reason they won that Super Bowl.
I was gonna say the same thing about Darnold. When are we gonna start believing that he's good though? I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but we all said okay, he only did it with O'Connell, and then he goes here and he didn't blow anybody out of the water, but he had another really good season. He ends up winning the Super Bowl and wins it like a Peyton Manning at the end of his career type of Super Bowl, whatever. But he managed it, and I think he's proven that he's good. This will be a really good test for him because, another offensive system, now his third offensive system in 3 years, or offensive coordinator in 3 years. So we'll see on that. I do think they're the type of system that the actual name your player. This is where I'm maybe a little too lackadaisical in my running back takes, but like name your guy. They're gonna be fine. If it's Emmanuel Wilson for 6 to 7 weeks until Charbonnet gets back, I think that running game is going to look fine. I think that it's more about scheme than it is the actual player. I know that my article on the thing that's talked down about Kenneth Walker, and I know you're excited about him in Kansas City. I don't know if it wasn't as much scheme as it is the actual player. So I think they'll be fine in the running game. I hate to simplify it, but it always just comes back to the quarterback play, right? So what do we have in Darnold? Can he keep up what he had? I think the defense is great. I think the running back will be fine. I think the biggest thing here is, can they find a way to get more than 4 picks to build a little bit more depth? I'm sure they'll try, but again, you got to have a partner.
Yeah. I mean, hey, this is what happens when you go all in, and it worked out for Seattle this year. And, it's worth the Super Bowl. If you have 4 picks, but you win a Super Bowl, it's all good. All right. Drop a comment down below. We got Messador. We got Connor Liu. We got Nick Singleton. We got Bishop Fitzgerald heading over to Seattle. Grade us from A to F. Let us know down in that comment section. Hit that subscribe button for more Blitz Sports Media content. Me and Louie will catch you all next time.